You thought you knew Jesus, didn't you? You thought following him meant being a good person, going to church when you could, saying grace at dinner, maybe reading a verse or two when life got tough, but deep down, you were still empty, still haunted by the nights you cried alone, still battling the same shame that clung to your soul like a secret weight. You smiled in public and broke in private, and somewhere in the silence, you whispered, "God, where are you?" But he was never far, you just hadn't truly seen him yet. You saw religion, you saw rules, you saw the polished version that people present on stages and in Sunday best. But you hadn't met the Jesus who sits beside the addict in a gutter, who reaches into the prison cell, who walks into the middle of your worst moment and doesn't flinch. That was me. I had the verses, I had the knowledge, but I didn't have the fire. And I didn't have the freedom. I was a slave to appearances, serving in ministry while silently dying inside. The anxiety, the depression, the unspoken sins, I carried it all, thinking maybe if I just worked harder, God would be proud of me. But that's the lie the enemy wraps in good intentions, that your worth comes from your effort, not his grace. And then came the day everything fell apart. The relationship I idolized shattered. The people I trusted turned their backs, and the dreams I'd built with my own hands burned down to ashes. And it was in those ashes that Jesus found me, not the version I prayed to casually, but the real, living Christ who walks into broken places. I didn't hear thunder, I didn't see lightning, but I heard a whisper so loud it split my heart in two. I was always here. You just never let me in. And I weep no because I was afraid, but because I had finally encountered love that wasn't disappointed in me. A Savior who didn't demand perfection but offered healing. A King who didn't command performance, but desired surrender. And that changed everything. Suddenly, verses like Romans chapter 5 verse 8 made sense. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Not after I cleaned myself up, not after I proved myself. While I was still in sin, still in rebellion, still running, had already chosen me. I had been living like an orphan while being offered adoption. Ephesians chapter 1 verse 5. And the more I leaned into that truth, the more the old chains fell off. It wasn't instant, but it was undeniable. The lies I believed about my identity began to break under the weight of his word. I wasn't rejected, I was redeemed. Isaiah chapter 43 verse 1. I wasn't broken, I was being rebuilt. And this Jesus I thought I knew? He was nothing like the tame version I'd grown up with. He was fierce. He was holy. He was compassionate and bold and unstoppable. He flipped tables for justice. John chapter 2 verse 15. Walked into storms unbothered. Mark chapter 4 verse 39. And wept at the tomb of a friend. John chapter 11 verse 35. Not because he was weak, but because he felt everything deeply. That's the part no one told me. Jesus isn't distant. He feels. He cares. He mourns with you, rejoices with you. And when you bleed, he bleeds. The scars on his hands weren't just for decoration, they were the receipt of his love. Every whip, every nail, every mocking voice was endured for you. And once that truth hit me, I couldn't go back. I couldn't go back to shallow prayers or half-hearted worship. I couldn't pretend church was enough. I needed him every breath, every hour. And the more I sought him, the more he showed up, not always in the spectacular, but in the quiet, the peace that made no sense, the forgiveness I was finally able to extend, the strength that showed up when I had none. That's the power of knowing him, not knowing about him, but actually knowing him. Like Moses, who didn't just want God's blessing, she wanted God's presence. Exodus chapter 33 verse 15. Like David, who said, "One thing I ask, to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life." Psalm chapter 27 verse 4. Like Paul, who gave up everything for the surpassing worth of knowing Christ. Philippians chapter 3 verse 8. That kind of hunger doesn't come from obligation, it comes from encounter. And maybe you've been where I was doing the right things, saying the right words, but still feeling like something's missing. That missing piece is not another sermon. It's not another book. It's not another self-help plan. It's Jesus raw, real, unfiltered, the one who says, "Come to me, all who are weary, and I will give you rest." Matthew chapter 11 verse 28. The one who leaves the 99 to find you in your wandering. Luke chapter 15 verse 4. And he's calling you even now. Through your screen, through your ache, through your confusion, This isn't just a story, it's an invitation. To stop pretending, to stop performing, to lay it all down. Your past doesn't scare him. Your mess doesn't surprise him. And your silence hasn't made him leave. He is still here. He is still knocking. And the question is, will you open the door? Will you let him in deeper than before? Because he doesn't just want your problems, he wants your permission to go into the hidden rooms of your heart. The memories you buried, the shame you carried, the doubt you never admitted. And when you let him into those places, that's when transformation begins. That's when the chains start to fall. That's when you realize you were never meant to live numb. You were meant to live free. You were meant to walk in power, in clarity, in joy that overflows, and a peace that silences storms. But it only comes through surrender, not striving. The day I stopped trying to earn his love and started receiving it, that was the day I truly began to live. And now I burn no for approval, but for purpose. I speak not to be heard, but to point to the one who changed me. My identity is no longer in titles or achievements, it's in the simple, scandalous truth that Jesus knows my name and still chooses me every day. And the same is true for you. No matter what you've done, no matter how long you've run, he still chooses you. He still says, "You are mine." And if you'll believe that, really believe it, you won't just be saved. You'll be set on fire. Because that's what love does. It doesn't just rescue. It revives. It doesn't just forgive. It fills. And when you're filled with him, you cannot help but overflow. So if you're still reading, still breathing, still wondering if there's more, this is your sign. This is your moment. Jesus isn't a religion. He's the Redeemer, the Restorer, the Rescuer. And he's reaching for you even now, with the same hands that were nailed to a tree, not to condemn, but to carry you home.